Breaking news: Putin paid a visit to his dear friend Xi to demonstrate his unrestricted commitment to the Chinese leader. Putin, the forum's main attraction, will take the stage after Xi on Wednesday and will have bilateral talks with the Chinese president later that day. Even though the conflict in Ukraine shows no signs of ending, Beijing has rejected Western criticism of its partnership with Moscow, stating that their ties do not violate international norms and that China has the right to collaborate with whichever country it chooses. Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, arrived in Beijing on Tuesday for talks with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping. The trip, which is being closely watched by the international community, is intended to highlight the trust and no-limits partnership between Russia and China as the conflict in Ukraine continues. Putin and his entourage arrived at Beijing Capital International Airport on Tuesday morning, only his second known international trip since the International Criminal Court, ICC, issued an arrest warrant for him in March. Wang Wentao, China's Minister of Commerce, greeted him. After visiting Kyrgyzstan, a former Soviet republic, earlier this month, this is the first official trip outside of the former Soviet Union for the Kremlin chief this year, because of the International Criminal Court's allegations that Putin illegally deported children from Ukraine. Any of the 123 member states of the ICC are obligated to apprehend and extradite Putin to The Hague should he step foot on their soil. Neither Kyrgyzstan nor China is a part of the International Criminal Court, which was set up to try people for war crimes. Days after the warrant was issued, Xi and his dear friend last saw each other in Moscow. Chinese President Xi Jinping personally invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to the Third Belt and Road Forum in Beijing. According to Russian media, Putin will meet with the leaders of Vietnam, Thailand, Mongolia, and Laos at the official opening reception hosted by Xi on Tuesday. Putin, the forum's main attraction, will take the stage after Xi on Wednesday and will have bilateral talks with the Chinese president later that day. Even though the conflict in Ukraine shows no signs of ending, Beijing has rejected Western criticism of its partnership with Moscow, stating that their ties do not violate international norms and that China has the right to collaborate with whichever country it chooses. Russia and China declared a no-limits partnership at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, Putin's last trip to China before sending tens of thousands of troops into Ukraine. If Putin were to show up to the Belt and Road Forum, which runs until Wednesday, it would be his third time doing so. He has been present at the 2017 and 2019 forums. Routes and Belts. The Belt and Road Initiative, proposed by Xi a decade ago in the hopes of establishing global infrastructure and energy networks connecting Asia with Africa and Europe via overland and maritime routes, is the central focus of the forum. Putin has spoken highly of the initiative, characterizing it as a forum for international cooperation in which no one imposes anything on others. Russia has strengthened its energy ties with China since the Ukrainian conflict began, a sign of the two countries' economic cooperation. More than a third of Russia's daily 2.0 million barrels of oil exports go to China. Also on Moscow's agenda is constructing a natural gas pipeline from Russia to China. Putin will bring with him the heads of Russian oil and gas giants Rosneft and Gazprom, but they will not be negotiating any new energy deals. According to the Kremlin, this visit is not a full-fledged bilateral but rather a sideline stop on the way to or from an international conference. This story is automatically generated from a syndicated feed and has not been edited by the Dev Discourse staff.